Hello fellow Chimerian, Steinbrian here, and welcome to Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 1 Pacific Break and Breakpoint Story Explained, where I'm about to explain the full story of Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 1 Pacific Break and Breakpoint. This will include the Chapter 1 Season 7 OG Live event, the cinematic trailer for Chapter 7 Season 2 Showdown, and a couple of standard weekly quests that are related to the story. So, with all that said, grab your snacks and drinks wherever we can find, kick back and relax, and enjoy the full story explanation of Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 1 Pacific Break and Breakpoint. So after our battle against the Dark Presence and finally securing the 0-point shard and saving Oninoshima, us, Hope, and Jones were teleported by the 0-point shard to a brand new reality known as Reality 266, the Golden Coast. While Hope and Jones were continuing their investigation to search more of the 0-point shards, we decided to have a peaceful relaxation on the Golden Coast by partying and celebrating our victory against the Dark Presence and saving Oninoshima. However, our relaxation peaceful time was then interrupted by a shady company known as Innerloop Labs, who for some unknown reason had the 0-point shard in the center of the island. This not only caught the attention of Hope and Jones, but it seems that Innerloop Labs also using the 0-point shard's energy that powered the particle accelerator. But that's not all. It also turns out that Innerloop Labs have begun experimenting with the 0-point shard, which led to the creation of the rift anomalies that are spawning around the Golden Coast, which caught the attention of a local Golden Coast resident, Karina, who began her own investigation onto the shady company of Innerloop Labs, who even suspect Hope and Jones are something connected to it as well. But that's not all. Because of these experiments created by Innerloop Labs, this caught the attention of a new threat onto the Golden Coast, who is piloting what looks like a Last Reality ship known as the Dark Voyager. And to make his presence known, he destroyed the battle bus, cutting our access to use it. And our main mission was to repair the battle bus to regain our access to it with the assistance of a crash dummy known as Dummy, who is using the blueprints that he's using to repair the battle bus in his own wacky way. So after repairing the battle bus, the Dark Voyager unknowingly just left the Golden Coast without any explanation. And we decided to now investigate the secrets of the Golden Coast, including about the Dark Voyager as well, including the dark secrets of Innerloop Labs. But then we soon found something very unexpected. In the outskirts of Classified Canyon, we find a mysterious meteorite with a mysterious pod and an audio recording. Interacting with this audio recording leads to hearing a voice from a familiar person, and that is the Order, a surviving member of the Seven who we thought was chromed during the events of Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 3 Vibing and Chapter 3 Season 4 Paradise. But we soon learned it was never true. The Order survived. And she came to the Golden Coast thanks to a distress call signal from Jones, after when she was scanning the aftermath of Oninoshima after our battle against the Dark Presence. And she decided to now create her own investigation onto the Golden Coast, including onto the Dark Voyager. And after that, she says that her and Jones can now have a lot of things to catch up on, even though it has something to do with the 0-point once again. After knowing this, we now have our second mission, to search for the Order around the Golden Coast to find out what exactly happened in the events of Chapter 3 Season 3 Vibing and Chapter 3 Season 4 Paradise. By searching around the island, we soon found a mysterious research facility in the snowy outskirts of Latte Landing and Wonky Land. After entering this mysterious snowy facility, we then find a second audio log belonging to the Order. After interacting with it, she suspects that someone is also looking for the 0-point shards, possibly to assemble the 0-point once again. But she's now noticing that she needs backup, knowing that the Seven aren't what they used to be anymore, and she misses the Imagined the most. But she brushes that aside and continues her investigation onto the Dark Voyager, the Golden Coast, including to find out what is going on with Inner Loop Labs, including their shady experiments with the Zero Point Shard. But then, the Dark Voyager unknowingly returns to the Golden Coast. But then it was revealed a shocking truth. Inner Loop Labs was actually created by the Dark Voyager himself when he brought a new ally known as Voidwalker Lynx from Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 7 OG as a new recruitment for the Last Reality, who now hacked into Inner Loop Labs and now calling it Lethal Labs, using the technology that the Dark Voyager is using to stabilize the Zero Point Shard for his own sick, twisted plan that we don't know what it is. After learning this, we decided to now start our own investigation towards the Dark Voyager by getting the answers from him. By making him to think we're going to join the Last Reality. So by going underneath Lethal Labs, we decided to talk to the Dark Voyager from his holotable, make him to think that we're going to join the Last Reality, and to prove ourselves, we need to spread chaos, terror, and fear onto the Golden Coast. After eliminating opponents, our next objective was then to interrogate witnesses about the Zero Point Shard, which is Hope, Jones, and Peely. But they never gave out any information about the Zero Point Shard, which makes a lot of sense, and unfortunately, we also terrified Peely as well. Our next mission was then to hunt down Signs of the Seven, which is to reclaim the Order's audio logs that we already found. But this is something that is really odd, because in the description of that quest, the Dark Voyager says the Order is particularly important to us, which is kind of weird. But we brushed that weird cryptic message aside and decided to continue our investigation towards the Dark Voyager by still making him think we're going to join the Last Reality. After reclaiming the audio logs, our next mission was then to use the arc lightning gun to cause more fear around the Golden Coast. After doing so, we then have to talk to the Dark Voyager on his holotable once again, but this is where things now get dark, because after talking to the Dark Voyager on his holotable, we soon learned that the Dark Voyager knew that he was being played, that he knew that we were lying to him, because he would never trust a stranger over minions he has forged over eons. So for our final directive was to be banished into the void forever, which is not great. And then he sends his minions to attack us and we defeat them. Now knowing the truth of the Dark Voyager is not someone to trick and lie to, we then decide to continue our investigation towards finding the Order. But before we did that, a mysterious golden rift appeared above the sky, and for some odd reason, the Dark Voyager left the Golden Coast for a second time, possibly to now begin his search for the Zero Point Shards, revealing that the person that the Order was referring to in her second audio log was the Dark Voyager himself. But then things became peaceful and quiet and relaxing, which made us to now continue our investigation to search for the Order by finding more of her audio logs. But unfortunately, things took a turn for the worst, as the Dark Voyager already captured the Order, because even though in her third audio log that she said that she would continue her investigation on searching more answers about what's going on with the Golden Coast, since it looked familiar to her somehow, because the storm is acting a little bit off. The loop is stable, but the storm is acting weird. Something tells her that someone was tampering with it, possibly the Dark Voyager using his sick experiments on the Zero Point Shard itself. But then, after when she made her way to Lethal Labs after finding her final audio log, it was revealed that during her sneaking around Lethal Labs, she was continuing to investigate more about the Dark Voyager, noticing that his ship is quite similar to the Last Reality ship, theorizing that even though he's connected to the Last Reality, there's something more going on with him than meets the eye. And then, we soon feared for the worst, that the Dark Voyager had already captured the Order when she arrived, which is very, very dark. After now knowing the dark truth about what happened, that the Order was captured, the Dark Voyager now returns to the Golden Coast with his ship now known as the Dark Harvester, with the second 0-point shard in his grasp, lowering it down to the center of the island. Now noticing that the Dark Voyager is now much more of a threat than he is, we now have to search around the entire island of the Golden Coast to know where the Order is being held captive at. After searching around the Golden Coast, our search became a dead bust, a dead end. But then we decided to retrace our steps back to the last place that she was captured at, Lethal Labs. And after going underneath Lethal Labs itself, we then found no other than the Order in captive in a what looks like a Last Reality-like prison cell. And after interacting with the terminal, the Order then tells us that the Golden Coast is indeed in danger. She would have ripped out of her prison cell, but unfortunately the barrier from it is caused her rift tech to go offline. So to get back online, we need to shut down the barrier and we need a keycard. The Order tells us that she saw a blue hair girl sneaking around Lethal Labs searching for more answers, that we need to get the keycard from her. And the blue hair girl is no other than Karina herself. Karina will give us the keycard if we do some favors for her, such as to search around the island for Bigfoot and Human Bill and hit them once in order to be tagged, which after that, our second favor for Karina was to collect 300 gold bars in exchange for the keycard. After collecting gold bars in exchange for the keycard, we got what we need to free the Order. And after shutting down the barrier of the Order's cell by returning to Lethal Labs, the rift tech from the Order's suit came back online, causing her to now rift out of her cell out of Lethal Labs. The Order thanks us and tells us to now be careful. The alarm was set off, and the Dark Voyager's minions were set on us to attack us after freeing the Order. And let's just say the Dark Voyager wasn't exactly happy that his prisoner was set free. After now knowing the Order is free, the Dark Voyager is now angry, and now will continue his pursuit for the 0-point shards for his long-term mission for them. So the Order was then now went to Classified Canyon and told us that the Dark Voyager is now much more dangerous than we thought, and we need to gather the 7 or what's left of them. And to do that, we need to create a transmitter by working together with the Order to do so. After securing a spot to collect parts to assemble the transmitter, the Order tells us that she was following blueprints from the scientist before he was chromed. And she also wouldn't dare opening a new folder called Notes from Therapist. Oh my god, that was very something, I guess. After knowing that, and which not knowing that, we assembled the transmitter at the radio tower at the Battlewood sign. The Order doesn't know who would answer the call, but she's confident that it will work because we need to find out how to defeat the Dark Voyager before he assembles the 0-point. We soon wait for that to happen. We then transition to no other than Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 7 OG, where the Ice King has now begun doing the snowstorm and even bringing back the Ice Legion. Transitioning back to the Chapter 7 Season 1 island of the Golden Coast, after Karina helped us with freeing the Order, we decided to continue helping her with her investigation towards the Dark Voyager, and she wanted us to investigate Hope and Jones, because she still thinks that those two are somehow connected to the Dark Voyager in Lethal Labs and the 0-point in the 7. After interacting with either Hope or Jones, they told us that they should tell Karina to stay away from all of this, that she shouldn't get herself hurt and she should just leave them alone. But this only prompted Karina to continue her investigation on the Golden Coast. After helping Karina and making sure she leaves Hope and Jones alone, a mysterious red rift appeared above the sky, the same red rift back in Chapter 1 Season 4 OG's live event, which means someone from OG had answered the Order's distress call. But this is where things get interesting and surprising. An object had flew out of the red rift and flying above the sky, revealing to be the Visitor Reality Unknown's rocket. He struggled to control it and almost hitting the dodecahedron from Sandy Strips, and was able to control his rocket again and then landed at a rocky landing site at Classified Canyon. So we decided to head there. And after heading towards Classified Canyon where the rocket was landing, we soon learned that Hope, Jones, and the Order have already approached the rocket landing site, and the Visitor Reality Unknown had already exited his rocket. But then, something caught our attention. A mysterious audio log where the rocket landing is. And after interacting with this audio log, we soon hear a conversation between the Visitor Reality Unknown and the Order. But then we hear a familiar voice, known as Amy, who we haven't seen back in Chapter 4, Season 1, Oathbound. But we soon learn the dark truth. So, when the Order saw the Visitor again, she was happy to see him, but notices that he's different, remembering him a bit taller. But this is where things now get interesting and dark. As it turns out, the Visitor Reality Unknown tells the Order that she wasn't the Order that he was expecting to meet, revealing to us that they came from different realities, possibly from divergent timelines. That even though that they're from divergent timelines, the Order says that they got a base of operation and all of us could really use his help. And the Visitor Reality Unknown says that no matter which timeline they came from, the Seven still stands together, and the Order is still happy to see him, even though it's their first time meeting from different timelines, revealing to us that Fortnite OG is an alternate timeline created by Jones and Sloan during the events of Chapter 4, Season 5, Fortnite OG, when the time machine was strapped into the rocket, not only the reason that the 0 point was split into pieces to cause the Big Bang, but also that created Fortnite OG's timeline, created by Jones and Sloan themselves. So after learning the truth about Fortnite OG, we soon talk to the Visitor Reality Unknown, who wants our assistance for something. He wants us to talk to the Order, because she stubbornly is pursuing the Dark Voyager alone. Because in his timeline, her sister, the Imagined, is the impetuous one, someone who's thinking things too rationally and quickly. So, after knowing that and wanting to speak to the Order then chimes in, and turns out she heard the entire conversation and tells the Visitor that she's fine, telling us to discard the Visitor's concern and worry and just continue with the mission. After using stealth splashes to move in a distance to outmaneuver the Dark Voyager, the Order then talks to the Visitor Reality Unknown and then tells him that if he's so concerned and worried, that he should join her. But the Visitor Reality Unknown says that bad ideas aren't things propagating right now, telling us that we don't know what the Dark Voyager is capable of, which is true. But then the Order responded to him saying that we don't know until we do some recon. This peaceful and most relaxation conversation between them now turns to a full-blown argument, because after eliminating 3 opponents at Lethal Labs or Classified Canyon, the Visitor Reality Unknown then argues with the Order, telling her to stay away from the Dark Voyager, giving her orders. And the Order responded to him by telling him what makes him think that he can give her orders. The Visitor Reality Unknown then reveals that he's been stalking the Dark Voyager throughout burnt out stars and ash of crumbling realities, and telling the Order if he were to be easily dealt with, he would have done it by now. Then the Order then talks back to him, saying that they only just met from different timelines, and she doesn't know what he is capable of, telling him to get off her comms. And after interacting with the effects of the 0 point shard at Lethal Labs, this more conversation now turns to something very sad and dark as well. Because after interacting with the 0 point shard and also get its strange effects, the Visitor Reality Unknown tells the Order that her hubris and timid recklessness is a danger in the mission, that she's becoming like her sister, the Imagined. The Order then tells the Visitor Reality Unknown that the Imagined would understand, and the Visitor Reality Unknown tells her that as she learned nothing after losing the Order since the events of Fortnite Marvel Zero War in Chapter 3, Season 2, Resistance. The Order then fires back, telling him that it's better to be hubris and timid and reckless without just sitting around doing nothing after learning from that day, telling us to wait for our next assignment. So, after waiting for the Order's next call, she then tells us that the visitor Reality Unknown doesn't understand because even though he's not our visitor, telling us that he's thinking that failing and losing people is theoretical, but it's not theoretical towards the Order. And then she tells us that we then need to interact with the Dark Harvester in order to find out more about it, but unfortunately, after interacting with it, the Order then wants us to go underneath Lethal Labs and find out more about the Dark Voyager to decrypt a mysterious message. After putting a bug underneath a holotable from Lethal Labs, the Order then tells Amy to decrypt the mysterious message. After Amy decrypted the mysterious message, it turns out it was from a redacted comm, which said, "I will not fail you," confirming the Order's suspicion that the Dark Voyager is indeed working with someone who's in higher power than he is, which is bad. After learning the truth, the Dark Voyager then pursues the third 0-point shard by having his gold trespasser lead guards to capture someone from the island, and that person being Fishstick. After telling Fishstick this is his last chance to tell him what the third 0-point shard is, he then brings up a hologram of the entire omniverse and navigates through it. So, after pinpointing to a reality known as Reality 7021, Oceanic Salinity, revealing to be Fishstick's home world, the Dark Voyager asks Fishstick if this is the right place that had the 0-point shard. Fishstick confirms the Dark Voyager, ratting it out his entire home world. The Dark Voyager then pinpoints the Oceanic Salinity and warps there as soon as possible, but we get to see it for ourselves how it actually happened on the Golden Coast, because the Dark Voyager brought out his mysterious Golden Rift again, and rifted out of the Golden Coast once again. We then transition to Reality 7021, Oceanic Salinity, where we see a squid just minding his own business, just fishing for food, until his tranquility was then interrupted by the Dark Voyager using his tractor beam to take the third 0-point shard. That not only brought the squid up to the Dark Harvester, but including the third 0-point shard, which is used to plug up a drainer in the underwater city of Atlantis. And after when the Dark Voyager unplugged the 0-point shard, the ocean level then began to drain, causing the ocean level to return to the ground. The Dark Voyager then maniacally laughs, now knowing to get the third 0-point shard, with the squid holding on for dear life. The Dark Voyager, noticing him, then snaps his fingers, telling his trespasser elite guards to attack him, and the squid was terrified for his life. But then he notices Fishstick with the Dark Voyager. Fishstick, not knowing what to say, then shrugs it off, which made the squid very, very angry, knowing that Fishstick ratted out their entire reality. The Dark Voyager then returns to the third 0-point shard by moving his Golden Rift's position from the center of Lethal Labs to the outskirts of Lethal Labs in Clausy Lounge. After exiting out his Golden Rift, the Dark Voyager then moves and piloted his Golden Dark Harvester onto the center of the map, because it turns out he didn't want to actually put the third 0-point shard with the other two pieces because something bad would happen. So that's why he moved the Golden Rift's position. So after lowering the third 0-point shard down, he then begins to use the Dark Harvester's beam on the 3 0-point shards, because he exposed the 0-point core. After the Dark Harvester's main power was then deactivated, the backup power was able to turn on, having enough power to hover above Lethal Labs. After following the 0-point reality strands, we then came across 3 reality portals that now show the location of the other 3 0-point shards. The Dark Voyager now found the other 3 0-point shards very easily. Now knowing the most dangerous threat that is about to happen, Hope decided that we need more allies for our fight against the Dark Voyager. So she wanted us to recruit new allies because it turns out she got a mysterious code of messages from a group called the Elites. And it turns out they recruit the best people from all over the Omniverse who are the best suited warriors for their ranks. And recently, they recruited no other than the mask maker Daigo from Oninoshima due to his expertise of dark magic, masks, including his combat skills since we saw him with it from his fight against Shogun X. So after securing the base for the Elites, Hope then tells us that if we show them that we're serious enough, that they will help us in our fight against the Dark Voyager and, unfortunately, the Ice King, which revealed that the Dark Voyager and the Ice King would now become allies, because the Ice King has the Foundation. And the showdown for the 0-point shards and the entire stake of the Golden Coast has now begun. The showdown is about to begin. So yeah, that was it. That was the entire story of Fortnite Chapter 7, Season 1, Pacific Break and Breakpoint. With Chapter 7 Season 2 around the corner for tomorrow, let's just say things are now getting much more interesting. The Dark Voyager is now being much more of a threat than what he used to be when he first appeared onto the Golden Coast. And when things get a little bit interesting, and the Foundation's return and knowing that he was imprisoned by the Ice King, things are now going to get more interesting when Chapter 7 Season 2 arrives. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching this video. Comment down below what your favorite things to do with Fortnite, Creativity, Bound Pledge, Fortnite Ballistic, Fortnite Reload, the soon end of Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 7 OG. Comment down below what your favorite moments in Chapter 7. And don't forget to comment down below what Fortnite theories you want me to discuss and debunk, and I'll gladly make videos about them. Subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss any videos from me. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye!